represent. Hey, I'm feeling okay. Woke up on the right side of the bed, y'all. Tell me how you doing. Hope all is well and you keeping it moving, yeah. Can't nobody tell me nothing. Feeling like $1 billion. I just copped a new attitude. About to pass it on to you.
Yo, what's good, y'all?
What's up? What's up?
Yeah. What up, man? We back.
Yes, sir. Yeah, man. We had a big event last week, and it's only right for us to come on here and recap it, talk about it for the people, anybody that missed it, let y'all know about what y'all missed. So, Real Men, Real Talk, the virtual summit featuring Royce the 5'9", Bubba Wallace, and Dr. David Marion. Yeah, so what did you guys think about it?
I mean, real quick, we got some new faces. It's their first time on the agency podcast.
Go ahead and introduce them then, bro.
Let my guys get their introductions off, man. Kenny, you want to start?
Oh, absolutely. First and foremost, man, it's a pleasure to join you gentlemen. I was able to catch the last conversation, and it was a blast. So I'm looking forward to having a conversation with you guys. My name is Kenny R. Hampton, and I've been able to help the agency during this WARC season with some expansion into new cities, such as Memphis, Detroit, Charlotte, and Jackson as well. So excited to continue to do what we're doing across the country, but looking forward to having this conversation that we was able to have an incredible event a couple nights back with the Real Men, Real Talk. So let's get it.
Kenny came in and said, Kenny R. Hampton.
Oh, yeah.
I'm on here ratchet. I got a period to go.
I told you was going to regret that, bro. Where you are, man.
I forgot my M in the middle of mine, man. You get my M down in here.
What's up? We got somebody, Chavez, you want to go ahead?
Yeah, y'all. Thank y'all for inviting me. Chavez Moment, Barbara. I'm with the Real Men, Real Talk initiative here at the African American Male Wellness Agency. I'm an engagement specialist, so I go around and engage the barbers and here in the future the salons about the agency and the importance about raising awareness in African American males and getting rid of all these stigmas and getting brothers to talk. As the T-shirt says, Real Men, Real Talk. So I'm just happy to be on the podcast, yo.
For sure. Appreciate you coming.
We got my idol off the camera.
Your idol.
Yeah, I want to be like him when I get older.
What's going down, everybody? My name is Marion Hopkins. I'm just representing the young voice, HBCU voice. I've been working here with AA Wellness for going on about 6 years now. Just interning and really just learning under all these Black individuals and Black men who can cultivate and create more young men. So
Young Mo in the making. You said,
Hey, what HBCU you go to, my guy?
you, bro.
Who you with?
K-State. You suck, bro.
Kentucky State, baby.
Really? You suck,
Best
bro.
in the
St.
world.
Breads.
Hey,
Yes,
How you
sir.
gonna tell him he suck, bro?
Hey, man, hold on, man.
It's just a friendly rivalry.
We in Ohio. Let's get it, baby.
How's
Central
the
State
retention
Marauders, Central State University, man.
My brother went there.
We're gonna get y'all boys to business coming
We
up.
see y'all August 28th, man.
We'll see
This year.
August 28th,
y'all.
man. We'll see.
Hey,
August
you know
28th.
what? Like I told the young mogul in the making, the only good thing about Kentucky State is y'all's band. And it's because y'all's band is run by a Central State alumnus, Al Level, and y'all's dancing crew is ran by my girl, Cherie Level. So the only good thing that I like about the thoroughbreds of Kentucky State is y'all's band because it's led by a Central State alumnus. So let's go, Central State.
Chavez over there
Maroon.
set tripping, bro.
Hey, Malcolm, are we done? Like, can we go ahead and move on?
Where's he at now? That's all I'm saying. Where's he at?
Where's who at now?
Levels here at K-State.
Yes.
Oh
He's at
God.
K-State because he had to spread that Central State invincible Marcy Marauder love.
I love the pride that y'all
man.
have in
You know
y'all
what I mean?
schools.
Hey, there's no other.
Sincerely.
Hey,
We went to them white schools.
Hey,
Nah, I love my
Hey.
school, bro. Hey, we have a lot of Capital alumni here at the Wellness Agency.
Hey, Kenny,
We're gonna have a
Yo,
Capital episode.
they don't know about that HBC love, man. Y'all you eyes have no idea what's going on here.
My brother
man.
went to Howard. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? So
It's
I don't.
all friendly love, man.
Much love for him, but hey, y'all PWIs, y'all have no idea about
No clue.
love.
All I know is we play Central State in football.
and we wore y'all out in my era.
No, I'm talking. I went to Urbana University. I ain't go to Kentucky State.
Oh.
I ain't worried about talk about that.
I said in my era. I can't speak. I can't speak about the '90s when the school was going down and the team wasn't that good. But I can speak about what we did in that 90, 91, and 92 when we had the national championship teams.
I did want to.
Oh, they got quiet right there.
I definitely want to go to State.
Yeah, so yeah, it's all HBCU love, man. So it's all about in institutions of higher learning that are focused on African American male and female upliftment. So it's just a great thing to be at a HBCU. We do joke a little bit, but it's like a family. You can only joke with your family. So if you ain't from HBCU, man, get up off these jokes, man. Get up off these jokes.
You good, ain't they? Hey, we got to talk about this Real Talk Summit, man. It was amazing. It was really amazing, man. Everything went really well. First of all, Dr. David Marion came on first, and if y'all don't know who he is, he's the president, the national president, I believe, of the Omega Psi Phi fraternity, and he's also a mental health specialist. So he kind of kicked us off with some gems, some knowledge, and we kind of Jewel Woods was our facilitator. Did a really good job.
Did an amazing job. Shout out to Jewel, man.
Yeah, big facts.
So he was actually just asking Dr. Marion some probing questions, really getting to start to open up and really set the tone for the entire event. And Dr. Marion was gracious enough to be very candid, open and upfront, and really just started to talk and just started to flow. And that kind of set the tone for everybody else. So I wanted to just talk about Dr. David Marion for a little second here, and then we can go on to the rest of the call. But what y'all think about Dr. Marion?
Man, I thought it was awesome. I thought the flow between him and Jewel was great. And then the way that Dr. Marion just, talked about mental health and, he broke it down and he related it to his life. So, and when you do self-disclosure, it goes to, it touches more people. So the way he was just dropping them jewels, man, basically like an old school brother would do to some young school brothers, that was just great, man. So back and forth conversation was awesome.
Yeah, I greatly appreciated his transparency. He didn't come at us on some high level. He came at us and met us men where we needed to be met, and that's really just right there at the core. Like what's really going on with us, and a lot of men are broken. A lot of men are dealing with some trauma, and for him to just allow us to learn more about him and identify with him some of the hurt and some of the pain that he's dealt with, and help us to get some more guidance on this conversation, man, because a lot of us as men, like we were hearing in the barbershop, we just don't have those moments in those spaces where we can really just go ahead and invite somebody else to have that conversation with us, man. But we need to release it. We do need to have conversation and bounce these things off of one another. So for us to have someone who has been in this field and has dedicated so much of their life towards this and just really give it to us 100, man, it was a life-changing event. I really enjoyed it.
What's up? I think just moving along, we can just talk about whatever, but I really think right after Dr. David Marion was Bubba Wallace. And me personally, I think Bubba Wallace kind of stole the show in a good way. I really, and Malcolm, you probably could talk to this. I'm not sure if you're allowed to or not, but, prior to the event, as we were starting to market and
do whatever I want to.
We was prior to the event, as we was promoting and put the flyers out there with Bubba Wallace on it, we got a lot of feedback, you know what I'm saying? A lot of comments and commentary. And you want to talk to some of that, Malcolm, how that was?
Yeah. I try not to give too much attention to negativity. But what I will say is that my eyes just opened up to like some of the scrutiny that he gets on the day-to-day. Like when somebody's in the headlines, then you see it because everybody's talking about it, and like you see like the racist comments and stuff underneath it or whatever. But for us to be, I don't know, do you know how long ago the news incident was?
It was months ago.
I thought it was last year, for real.
The one with the news. I'm thinking like
no, that was about 6 months ago.
Yeah, it was a long time ago. And like when we announced that he was going to be one of our panelists, like underneath the comments and the private messages that we was getting called all types of, racial slurs. They, they call them like Jussie Smollett and all types of stuff or whatever. So I can only imagine. I was reading it, and then they was turning it on us too. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, here go another agency or whatever. Like, what about the white male wellness agency and all that type of stuff? And I was reading it. I think I got tough skin. But, bro, that was exhausting for me to have to read through. So I can only imagine what it'd be like for him on a day-to-day type basis. You know what I mean?
Definitely. And I don't know if it was Jewel or Dr. Marion that kind of like really set that tone for him to get to that space that he was in. But Bubba Wallace was very open, very honest, and just real. He was real authentic throughout the entire process. I actually got to speak with some of his representation afterwards. And what they told me was that, he's done a lot of different speaking engagements and had these different things like this or whatever. But they said that he's never been that candid and that open and that articulate about his situation or about his life and about what he deals with until that moment with us on that call. So, it really just shows that platform that we have with this Real Men Real Talk is a great platform. We make sure it's a safe space for people to feel comfortable to open up. And then, we'll talk about the part a little bit later, but even Kenny, we was in the barbershop together and those men just started to pour out and talk about everything that was going on. It was really because we set that tone from the beginning. So again, that's kudos to Jewel. But I think, what I'm saying? I think Bubba Wallace got to that point because of how open and comfortable everybody else was prior to him getting a chance to speak. And even afterwards, he even stayed on the call, came back later and went even into more detail about some of the things he was going through. So, you can't hear what you don't reveal.
Yeah, you just gonna steal my bar? You knew it was coming, bro.
Somewhere. I don't know. Maybe it came from Malcolm.
Nah, that's a whole bar. You can't hear what you never revealed. But I say it all the time. But I do think that that's a testament to what Real Men Real Talk is. And like even on our monthly Real Men Real Talks that we have, afterwards I hear people say all the time, like, I'm so grateful to have this space to be able to talk about things. Like, I think the reason why Bubba Wallace felt so comfortable is because it was probably one of the, like, outside of like an actual therapy session, it's one of the first times it's like, oh, you have permission to come and like, have a safe space to talk about things. And at ours, we watched at the bar. We was at our bar, and we had a whole bunch of college kids that was there. And one of the dudes came up to me afterwards, just like, yo, I've never seen this many black men talking about our mental health and stuff all at once. It's like, I hope that this keeps on going. I was like, oh yeah, we got it on a monthly type basis, but it was a very similar reaction.
And just to speak to what you were talking about, Mr. Malcolm.
Mr. Come on, dog.
Put some respect on my name.
Disrespect though. But just to speak to what you were talking about, I think in order to change, we have to be genuine.
Mm-hmm.
The genuine factor is very key to helping change things. So if we as men are just there talking about, oh, okay, we're just talking about the surface things, but we're really having things that are bothering us under the surface, that's not going to change anything. In order to change, you have to go through some pressure. You have to go through some things and let some things go. So I think that's real good.
And like to your point, I think that there's been a huge cultural shift, like in society. It didn't always used to be this way. Like once upon a time, people wasn't really allowed to talk about their mental health, or even worse, bro. Like we call people crazy, you know what I'm saying, as a negative, as a slur, like whenever they acting. So it's stigma if you have like mental health problems or whatnot. And I think that it's important that we keep on having this high visibility to say, yo, we got to work through this stuff. And I think it's going to make our whole community healthier.
Yeah, because one thing, and I'm a whole generation separated from you guys. So when I came up, I grew up in the 70s and 80s. I'm 52 years old. Talking about mental health or anything that happened outside of your home was taboo. You better not say anything that's going on in this house, outside this house. So, and for men, there was no signs of weakness. There was nothing, no crying, no complaining, none of that. You just had to suck it up and take it in. And back to the point with the Bubba Wallace is, with Bubba Wallace being in NASCAR, being in a sport that's predominantly white, the opportunities for him to be around individuals that look like him and talk like him and go through the things like he does is probably very limited. So this Real Men Real Talk event was actually probably maybe one of the first times that he's got to be around a room of African American males that go through the same things that he goes through. And he may find it, it seemed to me like he found it more comfortable to talk about his situations because, with the whole noose thing, and I looked at it, the whole noose thing in the Talladega Speedway was back in July. So this was basically like a year anniversary of that happening to him. And for him to be able to have an opportunity to talk to some individuals like ourselves, like black men, is probably that's one of the reasons that he may feel free to open up because he knew that we could relate to the things that he goes through. So I was amazed that he really did open up like that. I was like, oh, okay. Because like you say, in the media, you never get to see an individual like that. You get the sound bites and everything, but for them to just come in and wholeheartedly just self-disclose things that's going on, yeah, that was awesome. So,
and before we move on, I want to make sure I make this point. So it's a couple points actually, because we touched on a little bit when you said the gentleman that you was with Malcolm. He said, "I never seen this many men come together." Just to touch on how far our reach was with this event. We had over 230 different cities that were tapped in that registered for this event. Wow. We had over 11 different countries that had at least one registrant for the event. And the reach was crazy. Malcolm knew all the logistics. And
it's 43 states.
43 states.
We had 1,000 people that was watching it like live on Thursday.
1,000 live on Thursday. So it was a huge number. But for the people in Columbus, Ohio, let me be sure this was national. So I understand the people that was outside of Columbus, they may be new to them. They may not have heard of this. But the people in Columbus that say, well, we need this more often, or well, we don't do this, or we don't do this enough. We've been doing this for the past
at least year.
Yeah, for the past year, at least twice a month in the city of Columbus, Ohio. So if you are in Columbus, Ohio, and you enjoyed yourself on that Real Men Real Talk Summit call, or if you're just hearing this podcast now and you want to know what we're talking about, we do this twice a month. As you can see that on the ticker at the bottom, the next one is going to be in August 10th. I'm reading the ticker as it goes past. August 10th here in Columbus. And it's doing our big Black Men's Health Week that we're doing this year. So be sure to just tap in with us. I'm going to put Malcolm on the spot. Do you know the text message number for people to text to get that information?
Nah, but I can get it, though. Yep, and also, in case you missed it, we put the comment up a couple seconds ago, but the audio from the Real Men Real Talk, obviously you can't catch it live because it already happened, but you can go to our podcast and you can listen to it. It's also up on our YouTube. So if you want to watch the video, then you can watch it on YouTube. If you just want to listen to it, then you can open up. And I think that we're live now everywhere. So we're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Pocket Cast. Yeah, anywhere that you can listen to podcasts that you can go ahead and tap in and hear the full conversation. And we do encourage y'all to go ahead and do that because it was a great convo.
It's worth it. It's worth it for sure.
Definitely. I just want to just pause and give kudos to you guys for real for doing the thing, man. Like really out here, patting yourself on the back. Really just doing the thing, trying to help better our Black men as a whole. Definitely.
The number. First, thank you, Marty, for that.
No problem.
The number, if you guys do want to get in on our text messages about Real Men Real Talk specifically, you would text RMRT to 888-675-1354. You could also text and walk to that same number. That's 888-675-1354. And I'm going to put that on the screen too.
Appreciate that. Now, I think the biggest draw for the event, in my personal opinion, and with my age group, I guess I'll say, we got a wide range of people here on this call, which is pretty dope. But for my age group, I'm 31. The biggest draw that I thought for our event was Royce the 5'9". People in my age, we understand who he is and what he brings to the table as far as an artist, but also on the mental health side of things as well. So he's always preaching, Black excellence and Black men, mental health, and things like that. So the fact that we had him on this call, I was excited about it, and I'm sure a lot of people that are around my age group were excited about it as well.
I told you before, like when we did the little preview or whatever, like me personally, like I was listening to his music when I was going through my own mental health stuff, And like I was listening to it, it helped me to get through a lot of it. So that was real surreal seeing him up on the screen, like talking to us or whatever, you know.
But during the call, during the call, I almost had my little stress and anxiety piece or whatever because he's like he didn't get on time. I guess he got double booked and he wasn't on.
Yeah.
And I have been communicating with his team prior to, so then everybody looking at me like, "Yo, where is he at?
Where's he at?
Yeah, you told us he's gonna be on here. Where is he at?" And me, as an agency. Our mantra is we say we're gonna do, right? You know what I'm saying? So we've been promoting, saying he's gonna be on there. He did a video prior to, and at first I'm like, man, if he don't show up, this is gonna be crazy. It's gonna make us look bad, But he definitely came through in the clutch. He hopped on there. He definitely dropped some gems. I didn't get a chance to hear him as he spoke live because our barbershop that we were in doing our watch party was so lit. Like it was just so much happening, so much conversation going on that we was in some good conversation. People opening up, talking about their things they're going through, whatever. So we didn't really get a chance to hear Royce, but I went back and watched it afterwards. So like I said, like Malcolm just mentioned, it is worth going back to listen to or watch because it's some important information that's being dropped, some gems being dropped that you want to make sure you pick up as they put them down. So it was really good that he came on there late, but he definitely did his thing. What y'all think about Royce?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of already spoke about it. Like,
I was actually with you. I was with you, Perry. I was watching you deal with all the mayhem behind the scenes, man. And shout out to Perry, man. He don't get enough credit for what he did as far as his role that he played with the entire, event. Also, huge shout out to Carlton and the rest of the team. Malcolm as well, but
Me too. I went around to the barbershop.
I was making my way to the barbershops. That sounds like a Central State marauder looking around trying to figure out when they're gonna get their props.
Right.
But no, and huge shout out to those that had their feet on the ground, right? Like the people that were going out to those barbershops like Chavez, making sure that we actually had watch parties in these barbershops because the barbershop is where a lot of men bring their issues. Like a lot of people think that men are bringing their issues to church and things like that. No, we're taking them to the barbershop and we're letting them, like we're releasing a lot of things that's going on with us inside of those four walls. And so for those men to have that opportunity to hear from Royce, to hear from Dr. Marion, even Kevin Boyce. Kevin Boyce shook the room with some of the things that he was dropping, man. And he really let us into his personal life as well. And I just feel like that was something that in our room, I know Perry can relate, man. They turned down the volume of the Zoom so that they can start having their conversation as men about their own issues, man. And it was powerful.
Yeah, it's like as we started to plan this out and how we envisioned it is like we wanted people to tune into the Zoom and then have their own conversations going forward. And it really happened where we were at. It was like so dope to see it actually come to life. You expect it to happen. You want people to do it, but you don't know if you're not there. You know what I mean? So me and Kenny being there in the shop, and we didn't like orchestrate or anything like that. We was just sitting there tuning in with everybody else, and they kind of just naturally. It started to happen, like, you know what I mean? It was really amazing to see.
What was some of the stuff that y'all talked? Because I wasn't at y'all's watch party, so like, what was some of the stuff that they talked about?
So, man, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, you
without violating any,
No, you good, man. I think the key, and I think that Perry will agree with this. The key that we kept hearing, man, is having that mentorship. Like we had different age groups in the room, right? So like we had some young fellas in there, we had some older gentlemen there as well, and we had like that middle of the road group. But man, what we kept hearing is, iron sharpening iron, and something is happening in the room. Like we had a gentleman, for example, that walked past the barbershop, looked in, kind of like was like, wait a minute, like they're in there chilling. He actually came in and asked, like, what's this? We told him, hey, it's a mental health event, real men, real talk, grab yourself something to eat. He stayed, and then he ended up, he told us why he came. He wanted to get a haircut. And one of the fellows like, I'm gonna go ahead and cut you up. But bro, he was like, man, my life has been changed because of this experience. So what we got from it, man, was the fact that like men are wanting to be their best. They're just wanting, and they're in need of somebody to walk the walk with them together. So we all was just making commitments, man, to go ahead and do what we can, to do as much as we can, to lock arms with our brothers and do this thing together versus having our men out here doing it by themselves, man. So mentorship was huge in our conversation.
And then just to piggyback a little bit off what Kenny just said, that actually happened. Like we was in there,
randomly
walked past, and just seeing us. He poked in, he looked around, and he like, come on in. And he came and he asked what was going on. It was just so amazing how organic it was. Like it was no type of structural or planning. It really just happened organically.
That's what happens in the barbershop.
Yeah, you know what I mean.
That was one reason to have it there.
Mm-hmm.
Am I muted, sir?
Nah.
No, that's just computer muted.
You good, Chavez? You good? I hear you.
Yeah, don't unmute that.
No, I was just looking. It said unmute. It said muted on there. But yeah, that was one. We came up with the idea of having a virtual one. That was one of the reasons I came up with having the watch parties, because for African American males, traditionally, that's been the place where men come and gather and collect and give out information is the barbershop. So having that type of conversation, with me being a barber almost 30 years, these type of conversations, organic conversations, I see those on a daily basis. But the regular public that doesn't get to see the black man in the real organic black man open up and talk like they do in the barbershop, because the barbershop is somewhere that's familiar for men from the time that you're 2 all the way to the time you leave this earth. So men feel more comfortable talking in the barbershop. So
that's one of the things too.
That's why this was such a perfect match, to be able to see public figures, being open and honest about their mental health and their struggles. And, brothers get to see that, hey, they go through it too, just like I'm going through it. So that's why it was just such a match. And I'm glad that you guys had that experience, because that's something that I experience every day. That's what I experience every day in the barbershop, is the type of things that happen with this Real Men, Real Talk Summit. That's something that we need in our community, to get men to be able to talk. So
that's something that one of the people in the comments, like, it was women. Well, everybody was allowed to join in. We just saved space for black men to actually have the mic and to talk. But some of the women that were in the comments, it was like, I didn't know that men thought like this, or that they were going through this type of thing. So for that reason, I'm really glad that it was public and that anybody could tune in, because it kind of gave a microscope so you can look into our minds and our hurts and whatnot.
And then, going back to Kenny was saying how Kevin Boyce came on and really blessed us with some gems. I think, what made this call so great was not just the panelists. We talked about how great they were, and they were amazing. And Jewel, like, we can't talk about how good he was as a facilitator. But when the random people that came on and just gave their commentary or asked questions throughout the call, the participants, they came with some real good questions or comments and really helped with that dialogue and really expanded what we were talking about. Lee Woodall happened to be on the call. He's a former NFL player. He was on the call. He really gave us some good information. I can't think of all the names of the people that were on there, but they were really giving us some good gems, and I wanted to just touch a little bit more about that. What do you guys think about those people that came on and asked questions? My uncle actually got a chance to ask a question as well. He asked a question about the substance abuse and addiction and things like that. But what do you guys think about, like, how the people that came on and asked those questions? What do you think about that?
Going into the event, I didn't think that we would really be able to have the level of participation and audience engagement that we did. Just because of the volume. Like, when we saw those numbers kept on going up, just candidly speaking, at the beginning, it was like, if we can get 200 people to log in from across the country, it'll be lit. Like, we'll enjoy that. Like, that'll be a success and stuff for us. We crossed the 200 mark like 3 weeks ago, and then we crossed the 400 mark, and then the 500 mark, then 600. So we were like, oh my, like, how are we going to be able, or we were concerned. It was like, what about, bots and spammers, or is somebody going to try to hijack it and all that? So I say all that to say that I was really happy to see, that we were able to navigate that. And, shout out to Columbus Black for helping to make that happen. But yeah, I just enjoyed, having people that we didn't know come onto the screen and ask their questions and whatnot.
Yeah, one of the guys in the barbershop, shout out to Jamie Woods, who actually is the one who was instrumental in having us host one at Working Wonders with his dad's barbershop. And he had a great question where he asked, how do you go from being a human doing into a human being. Because as men, I mean, that question really hit home with me, because I'm like, as a man, I do feel like I'm constantly in this state of like, I need to be doing something to making sure that I'm taking care of the family, making sure that I'm being the best husband and father that, you know, I could possibly be. But then at the end of the day, like, what am I doing for myself? Like, what am I doing to get myself in position mentally to go out here and fight this fight, right? And I think Dr. David Marion hit the nail on the head, where he was just saying, you know, you don't just drive your vehicle without getting oil changes to it and getting, you know, different maintenance done to your vehicle. And you don't just go to the dentist, you know, once every couple of years. So why should we treat our mental health any different? Like, our mental health requires maintenance. And I'm just like, wow, like that hits home. So if we don't have therapists in place, and men, it's not soft to have a therapist. Like, that's something that I really took from the conversation, is that having that therapist is key for us as men. I mean, I'm sure we got, you know, people that are responsible for certain things that we're doing with our bodies, or what we're doing with, you know, our skill sets that are mentoring us. Well, we should have some type of resource that we could tap into as well as men, to release some of the stuff that we're dealing with, so that we can get the help and be well in those areas.
And then if you're listening to this podcast now, or you hear this later, just know that us as the African American Male Wellness Agency, like, that's what we do. We are the connectors. You know what I mean? We are going to get you the resources, the help, whatever you need to become a better man, father, you know, being, like Kenny just said, to become a better being. You know, we are here for that. So if you listen to this, like, okay, they talking about getting a therapist, they're talking about doing that and doing this, but where do I start, or where do I go? Reach out to us. You know, we're here for that. Chavez is going around town every single day, giving out resources to the community for people to get mental health specialists, or to get substance abuse specialists, or to get whatever the case you need. You know, whatever you need as a man. You know, we're here to try to enhance men in our area. So, you know, reach out to us and let us know if you don't know where to start or where to go, what steps to take. We got you. So I want to make sure I put that out there as well. But no, overall, I mean, I really think the event was great. I think on our next pod, we should probably see if we can get some people that were on the call, maybe kind of join us and just give their feedback as a non-agency point of view. You know what I mean?
Hey, yeah. He's trying to steal my job. He's trying to produce the podcast.
Of course, we work for the agency. You know what I mean? So, you know, we do have a horse in the race, but I really think it was that good that we can really call out a random person and be like, "What did you think about it?" You know, and they'll have that passion, that same sincereness, and be like, "Man, it was really eye opening. It was really impactful." And I don't think nobody felt like they was this is how you know how good it was, is that, you know, we kept that consistent number at about 300 and something people on the Zoom alone throughout the entire call. You know what I mean? So to keep that many people on a Zoom call where they probably won't even get a chance
over
to speak.
2 hours.
Yeah. And we cut it short. Like, we could have kept it going. And, you know, everybody didn't get a chance to speak. You know what I mean? So to keep that number like that, you know what I mean? If people were engaged and they were interested. So I wanted to just make sure I put that out there. It was great, man.
Yeah, that was dope. Because we actually had a situation in the shop where I was at, where, you know, we had the 2 young barbers, and, you know, I told them we had the mental health event. All right, yeah, whatever. We're gonna have food. Oh, we get to eat. So they really weren't engaging in it. But, you know, it was that point when it came on, I turned off the music and I turned up the volume on the summit, and they were cutting, and then you could just see them start looking and engaging. And, you know, the youngest brother, he's new to the whole shop experience, so he stopped and his clippers was off, and they were just looking and engaging. And I'm sitting there like, yeah, they're getting it. You know, it's touching them. And then even when they got done cutting, the client, he just got out the chair and he sat and he was watching, and the barber was about to leave. And then I believe Dr. Marion was talking about his relationship with his daughters. He was talking about being a father relation to his daughters, and all of us in there are girl dads. So they tapped in and they were there the rest of the time when they were just planning to cut and leave. So the questions that were asked and the jewels that were dropped was just great. And if you were a man and you were watching or even at earshot of the summit, it caught your attention, and somehow, some way, it affected you in a positive way. So yeah, it was great. So I really appreciate it and looking forward to do the next one for real. It was great.
If any of y'all have any interest in like coming on here and like talking about your experience with this event or really any of the events that we have, then please just drop us a line. You can message us on social media. It's AA Wellness Agency everywhere. And it may not be you coming on to the show. Like even if you don't want to come in and actually do the whole production, you can just send in a voice note and we'll add it at the end of the episode for you. So if anybody has any testimonials or anything that they want to share, then please just get in touch with us and we'll connect you.
I can go on and on about this event, man. It was amazing. I mean, maybe it was like Chavez says, like when people start to talk about the thing that's like particular to your situation at that time, it really resonates with you. And
what resonated for you?
Yeah, for me, I was just about to get to that. For me, it wasn't really the panelists or the people on the Zoom, but as we started to talk in the barbershop afterwards, it was actually Kenny. Kenny was talking about how he was like, he was saying you got to take care of home first. And with me, I've been working in the community for the last 10, 12 years. That made me feel so old when I say that. But I have.
Jesus, how old are you? Marty was in elementary school, bro.
But what really resonated with me is that, like, whenever something for somebody else, like my job or an event I'm doing or whatever I'm doing, I'm like, I gotta be on time. I gotta do this. I gotta get this. I gotta do that. I gotta be held. I gotta be accountable for my name. You know what I'm saying? My name is on this. I gotta make sure it's perfect. But at the crib, my wife asked me to do something, and I'd be like, I'll get to it, or what I'm saying, things like that. So he was basically talking about how you gotta take care of home first or whatever, before what I'm saying, you can take care of people outside the home or whatever. And that was really a big thing for me because me and my wife, we get into it all the time about that. And she tells me that and I never hear it. Like she'd be like, well, if so-and-so wants you to do it, you'll do it. Or if it's so-and-so and such and such, you'll be on it. And it's like, I don't hear that from her because I'm thinking she's just nagging. But that's what he was talking about, like that iron sharpens iron. Like when it comes from, what I'm saying, somebody that's in a similar situation as you, another married man who has kids and is doing well or whatever, you like, man, that really resonated. You know what I mean? So that was the one that was what it was for me, was that conversation we had in that barbershop. He wasn't even talking to me. He was just talking about his life or whatever, and it just was coming to me. You know what I mean? So that's how that real men real talk really is so great. It's like just the conversation can flow so many different ways and so many different angles. You know what I mean? And it's going to be something there for you, whether you're a father, a brother, a cousin, an uncle, whatever it is. You know what I mean? You're going to hear something that's going to be impactful for you. So that's what it was for me. I don't know if y'all have a similar story, anything that happened that resonated with y'all really, like, personally or not.
That's real man, real talk, brother.
Yeah, I kind of already shared mine earlier when Homeboy came up at the end of it. It was like, when's the next one? Like,
right.
Yeah.
I mean, we had some people in Virginia. It was like, we need y'all out here in Virginia. We had some people in
Brooklyn, Arizona.
Yeah, all comment, engaged, like, hey, when y'all coming out here? So just to, we gonna wrap it up here real soon, but as we had our recap meeting as an agency, hoping I'm letting you count the back here.
Yeah, I'm about to mute you.
We talked about doing this Real Men Real Talk.
This is live, just so you know.
Our State of Mind tour. You know what I'm saying? Take this show on the road, like not just have the virtual, because virtual is great. It was a great experience, but you get in person with these people and you can have these breakout sessions and things like that, it can get to a whole nother level, right? So we're doing the one here in Columbus on August 10th. We're talking about taking this show on the road, the same thing, Our State of Mind, and going to Detroit and going to Memphis and going to Jackson and going to all of our markets and even outside of our markets that we're in now, and really taking the show on the road and having this more in-person thing. So we're having these talks now on how we can logistically do that and make sure that we're really taking the show on the road and really impacting as many people as we can with this Real Men Real Talk piece. So I'm excited, man. Real Men Real Talk was a success, and we appreciate y'all for joining us and listening to us talk about it.
Anybody else got any other final words that they want to share?
Nah, man, just kudos to the entire African American Male Wellness Agency and the leadership, to even act on something like this on a topic that, It's not always an easy conversation to have. Thanks for allowing us to even have that space. I think everybody, if you engaged, whether you were in person at a watch party or you watched the, the conversation online, you walked away feeling like you was a better man because you experienced that conversation. So I know that it helped me. Dr. David Marion dropped some gems that I'm going to use because I'm a girl dad as well. But I'm excited about being able to like Perry was saying, just be able to like do this with other men, and let's challenge each other to be the best versions of ourselves. So I do consider our homes to be our practice fields or our practice courts. So let's try to sharpen our tools inside, and that way when we go out into the community or into the schools or to the workplaces, we're performing at a crazy level. But we got a cheering section back at the crib that's rooting us on because they understand. Nah, he taking care of us. We're getting exactly what y'all getting out there. We're getting it here as well. So, let's go ahead and we got 4 on this screen right now, and we got several that's listening, that's tuned in. Let's hold each other accountable to be the best version of ourselves. And then we're going to have some more real men, real talk. That's going to be on a whole nother level.
Definitely. That's facts, man.
So just real quick, I just want brothers to take away from it because, me being here on the screen, the one with the grade with the wisdom showing, I just want brothers to be able to get, to the 50+ club. And the best way is that to happen is, to reduce our stress and become, more of a human being and not a human doer. Because as men, we just go and go and go and go, and we don't take care of ourselves. So now is the time for brothers to open up and talk about what's going on in your personal life, in your health life, in your spiritual life. Unless you got a brother in Christ or a brother that's spiritual with you, 9 times out of 10, a man doesn't have anybody that he can truly open up to. So this real men, real talk thing is a way for men to do it. I'm in the barbershop and I get to see men open up. I get to see men in state of mind that a lot of people don't get to see them in. I get to see men cry weekly. When's the last time you seen a man cry? Wow. I get to see men cry weekly because of so much stress and trauma that we hold the time that we open our eyes and give thanks for opening our eyes to the time we close our eyes. We deal with stress all day. So brothers, it's okay to not be okay. It's okay to talk about what's going on. You don't want to keep building that up. And, in the Black community, we already have enough health problems. We don't need all this stress and trauma to add to our high blood pressure, add to our heart problems, add to, all the other things that can happen when you deal with a lot of stress and trauma. So brothers, it's okay to talk about what's going on in your life. We got girl dads on here. We deal with a lot of extra stress. So we just need to be able to open up and be honest so we can be better men, we can be better fathers, and we can be better servants of God. Because if our mind isn't clear, we can't give the best us. So let's just learn, you young brothers that's on here, learn to talk, learn to express yourself. Don't get to, I was plus 40 years old, so I knew it was okay to talk about what's going on in my life. So I don't want you guys to, have to deal with that stuff so long. So learn to get you a best friend. Learn to get you a brother in Christ that you can talk to. Say, hey, bro, I'm not feeling right. Hey, brother, I need some help. I need to get this off of me. So just do that, man, for yourself. Just be the best man you can be. Be a real man, a real man, and have real talk.
I appreciate that, Chavez. Hey, that's a mic drop moment right there. Shout out to Marty Marr for joining us on the podcast.
Marty Marr.
And if y'all want to find us, like Malcolm said, we everywhere. I've just learned we on Apple, on Spotify. You just search the AA Wellness Agency and we're going to be there. What is it? Patreon or whatever. I don't know.
We ain't on Patreon.
We're doing it big.
What's the thing called? FM? What's it called? What's the Anchor?
Anchor.
Just
Spotify.
Just check your podcast platforms and just type
AA Wellness
Agency. AA Wellness Agency, man, and you will come up. Like right now, I am right now live on my Facebook. Blasting this right now, so you can go to my Facebook page and see this, get the recap, hit the links, hit AA Wellness, bro, and we are here for you.
Yes, sir. Amen. But get into this AA Wellness music.
Just walk. you